Oh, Andy, it's graduation Friday for me here. So
Oh,
the daughter's graduating today. So got in-laws came in yesterday.
yeah.
My one son and his girlfriend and three dogs will come up today. It's gonna be quite a household. We're gonna have eight adults
Yeah.
and five dogs. So it's gonna be quite a household.
And a cat, I think, right?
Two cats. That's right, dude. So two cats.
Just
So
to add to the chaos.
yeah. It's gonna
Awesome. Well,
be.
hey, congratulations to you and your daughter and your family. I saw a coworker had a graduation this week, another graduation today. I think it's awesome to see this milestone, I think, achieved. It's just such a big deal to graduate from high school. So, congratulations.
Is it a big deal, Andy? Do you remember your high school graduation?
Graduate. The only thing I remember is standing in the hallway in my gown, and I don't really remember. I don't care about the graduation itself, but the milestone, the event
Just
of
a
like
mile. Okay,
you're
all right. Okay.
transitioning from hey, you're a high school kid to you're a college kid. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty big. That's pretty big. And your daughter is with you for the summer, and then she's off to college. That's a big deal.
Yeah, so we'll be doing the whole orientation. We got to go to a freshman orientation uh in a couple weeks in June, and then yeah, beginning of August. So she's got to go early if she's going to do sorority stuff. So
Yeah,
it's almost like she was playing football or something, but she's got to prepare for a sorority. So it's
super exciting. Super
yeah.
congratulations to Pounder household. Enjoy graduation Friday.
Yeah, graduation Friday for sure. So, all right, Andy, let's jump into topics here. I, I mean, I wish we didn't have to do this all the time, but like the news is just so stupid. Um, and yesterday the news came out, it's kind of late in the afternoon that the Trump administration was now um, imposing penalties on Harvard, in fact, that they could no longer accept international students. And then those international students who are currently there would have to go back home or transfer to another school. Um, God, like why? Like what are we doing? And this is all stemming from, well, there's a lot of roots here, but Harvard has pushed back against the Trump administration's penalties. There are threats of withdrawals for grants and benefits funding, and now they're at this stage, all because, as the Christy Nome says, because of their anti-Semitic posturing and their pro-Hamas activities. I don't even know what that means, Andy. I don't even know what that means. Oh, you have to be off
Yeah,
of
the,
mute.
the, the
Talking.
president's use of the levers of government to punish those that don't comply with his will. Look, there's an argument to be made that, the government shouldn't be funding activities that aren't in its interest, right? Okay. But these are purely political actions, right?
Right.
This is aggressive political action to say, look, you will do what I tell you to do, or I will punish you. There will be retribution, there will be a cost. And this is the kind of thing that some will try and justify as, hey, the president has the authority to do it. But when you look at it, you're like, it's just such unnecessary disruption and chaos, right? Because you're hurting people's lives. I mean, you're hurting people's lives that didn't do anything, right? They didn't cause harm. And then we love to throw out this idea of pro-Hamas. Look, let's just be honest, because there's a lot of rhetoric with using this term in some media, in some in different locations, right? Standing up for the Palestinian people and opposing the actions of the government of Israel is not pro-Hamas, right? There's a big that's a big leap, right? To say that you're pushing back on the ground war in Gaza. You may agree or disagree with that, but to say that, hey, I think is going too far doesn't make you sympathetic to a terrorist group. It makes you sympathetic to the people that are being hurt, right? And so the president and others like to throw around this term that those that are protesting are pro-Hamas, and that's just in almost all cases not the case, right? Most people are supporting the Palestinian people, not a terrorist organization, and I don't know if I've seen anybody defending the horrible terrorist attack that Hamas led on October 7th, right? That's just not what people are saying or doing. This sort of conflating of ideas and terms to punish people, it's un-American and it's kind of gross.
Yeah, I think kind of gross is but we're seeing more of this now, Andy. Like, and I think people. This is a challenging time because again, the move to like an authoritarian, repressive government does not happen just overnight. I mean, it's through small acts, right? It's through small things, and when it could be through a court case, it could through one individual court case, it could be one through a new law within a school district or something like that. It's those type of things that build up over time. You're like, how the fuck did we get here? And it's these type of things where I think the American public needs to recognize them for what they are. And I mean, what the irony here is the politicalization that or the weaponization that Republicans accuse the Biden administration of government entities like the IRS and all these other groups. In the DOJ, they weaponized the DOJ against Trump, who's
Yeah,
by a jury of his peers has been convicted is a convicted felon, by the way. I mean, all of these things that they accuse the Biden administration of, the Trump administration has doubled down on and
yeah,
tripled down and gone like threefold on. And these things don't happen just overnight. And it is important for us to recognize them in the moment and say we're just not going to tolerate that anymore. And
yeah,
unfortunately, I'm like a lot of people are looking at it and go, yeah, Trump's sticking it to Harvard. I'm tired of seeing these pro-Hamas people waving the Palestinian flag and all this other stuff. And the reality is again, look, I'm not going to argue about if you want to strip funding from public educational schools and stuff, that's a different story.
yeah,
But when you're tying it to this type of stuff, that's where we're because what are you doing? Like it's not just punishing Harvard, but it's a signal to all other universities and colleges around the country to say, hey, we've got to go along to get along
yeah.
here, or they're going to take our funds, or they're going to do this to us. We're going to be next. And so instead of standing up, you ultimately wind up bending the knee,
Yeah.
sadly.
No, that's exactly right. That's the idea. It's like do not resist, right? Just do what I say. Go along. Let me do what I want. Even if you see the outbursts, right, when the president was hosting the president of South Africa at the White House this week, and an NBC reporter asked about the gifting of a jet to the president, and his outburst was to attack the reporter for not being smart enough to be a reporter, attacking NBC News for being dishonest, and just as violent, like, how dare you question me, why would you bring this up, we're not talking about this, I'm here busily embarrassing a foreign dignitary with nonsense news. It was just such a violent reaction, and we've seen this before from the president recently. Do you know who I am? You don't talk to me that way. And that's the idea that I am the authority. You will do what I say. You'll go along with what I'm telling you. You agree with what I'm telling you. Do not resist. And that's exactly why, in all caps, we have to resist, right? We have to resist. We have to say, this is not right. We do not agree. We will not comply. He's a bully. He's a bully, and he's trying to bully people, and we have to fight back. That is our obligation if we love this country. Although not everybody agrees with that. Some people think he's right on.
Yeah, speaking of which, I think you said you had a interesting conversation with a group of people here, Andy. Um,
So
I don't
let me touch this. This is interesting, Dave. Like we try to be fair here. While you and I think, have strong beliefs and opinions, I think we both try to be open-minded. We both try to be reasonable. So I think I mentioned a few weeks back, I was at a protest event and got into a little bit with a couple of the counter protesters, and ended up talking to one of them for about an hour. Super nice guy, super nice guy. And we disagree, but we had a good conversation. We had some follow-on conversation, over the weeks that followed. He invited me yesterday to join a group of enthusiastic MAGA supporters for
know.
dinner.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and, and,
Wait,
and,
wait,
and
wait.
like, yeah,
Just Yeah, okay, good.
So I talked with my wife about it. And I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go." I'm gonna go visit, and like we agreed, we're gonna talk. So so went and did check in. Everybody was very nice. We started chatting. I would say one individual was aggressively, no matter what, Trump is right, no matter what, like full on, don't even question it, it's ridiculous. I brought up a few specific issues. It's like, no, that's not right. No, that's not right. No, that's not right. I was like, oh, okay. So, but then three of us were having a very good conversation, and it was a genuine just back and forth discussion. And what I heard, and I think this is fair to say, most MAGA supporters, right? I think genuinely do love this country, right? I think it comes from a heart of patriotism. And I will say that the folks I was with yesterday and many others that I've spoken with, it's unfair to cast them as racist, bigots, whatever. That element exists, like it exists in every community. But I think a lot of Mr. Trump supporters are just genuinely like they love this country and they're not bad people. And I think we try to mischaracterize them in that way at times, which isn't fair, right? It's not good to villainize your enemies or those you disagree with. But what I heard was basically fair grievances, frustrations that you and I share, Dave, frustrations with, former presidents, with the actions of my least favorite president, George W. Bush, fuck that guy, and subsequent presidents, frustrations with Congress and the political parties and the inability for anybody to get anything done, the inability for change, all fair issues. Where our paths radically diverged was in the solution, right? And for you and I and many others that have at different times in our lives sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States, that I will do anything to defend that document because I believe that is the greatest defender of liberty for this country, for our children, for our future. It's an incredible document. What I heard yesterday was maybe it's not working anymore. Maybe a king wouldn't be
Mhm.
that bad. Maybe it wouldn't be bad. I would call him a king, but Trump is the violent change needed to break the system, to fight back against all the vested interests that are corrupting our country. He's the bull in the china shop that's willing to get shit done for America. And we'll roll the dice on giving him a lot of deference and maybe he'll restore the republic in some way. Maybe he wouldn't be such a bad, authoritative leader, king, emperor, president, whatever to call him. Like maybe that's okay. Like maybe that's the better future for us. That's what I heard repeatedly, which kind of made my brain explode a little bit. But at the same time, the frustration that got them to that point, like seeing the inability to change these two political parties, the inability for Congress to get anything useful done, the corruption that we've talked about, which absolutely exists, that frustration has led them to a path that said the Constitution isn't working, the rule of law isn't working. We have to support this radical change to get things done. And then we talked about that. We talked then about sort of the speed and the urgency of like, why do it the way he's doing it? Why not let Congress pass laws, make changes the proper way? There's sort of this idea that there is an urgency to it because things have to get done and results have to get demonstrated before the midterms, or you lose one or both of the chambers of Congress, and then the ability to like really violently get things done is over, right? Then you've got to deal with a split government. And so there's this urgency to get it done now to show results next year and win the elections. And so I was like, man, this is interesting to hear, completely disagreeable to me. But in a sense, if I step back, it's like I can understand how they got to the point they got to. I don't agree with it, but I can understand it. And I can appreciate the frustrations they had. And we broke bread. We had a nice discussion. We shook hands, went our separate ways, shared other frustrations about our local community and local politics. And we'll continue the dialogue. But I was grateful for their time and to have the conversation. I think for all of us, whatever political ideas we have, our friends, our neighbors, it's important to understand people's beliefs and not just live in the echo chamber because that's dangerous, right? And then to have honest dialogue. And I think it was Nobody changed anybody's opinion, but we had a good conversation.
Well, I mean, look, bravo to you, Andy. I mean, that's good. And look, I have MAGA friends too. I mean, let's dispel any of this. I don't echo chamber myself
Yeah,
either. Again, disagree with their ultimate outcomes. What fascinates me about that story there is like, look, we do need an overhaul, but what Trump is not like, what is Trump is doing is not addressing that change.
yeah,
Like he's not addressing that. Like if he were, he would can't like campaign finance reform. All these bills that are stacked up to reinforce our two-party system. He would impose term limits. He would do a lot of realistic things that he could do. Instead, he's choosing not to because again, he's acting over his own self-interest.
yeah,
He doesn't care about blowing up the system. He cares about giving himself more power and authority. And so, like, I agree. Like, I can understand their frustration. I think it's very good to hear that they're frustrated with the system too. But it's not the Constitution that's the problem. It's the laws that have been built by corrupt politicians that have abused the Constitution in a lot of ways have used the Constitution to defend their arguments, that is a problem. I mean, the
yeah,
Constitution, like that document is 200 almost 250 years old here, and it's still as valid as ever.
yeah,
It's the people that are corrupt here. So
yeah. All fair, all fair.
interesting story. I appreciate you sharing it. And Andy, that's good kudos to you there, I tell you.
Yeah,
Okay. And again, like regardless of what party you're on, you're not a bad person. You have beliefs, right? And it's not our job to change your beliefs. You know, we're not going to convince you one way or the other, but at the same time to have that dialogue and not wind up in fist fights, that's what America is about, right? I mean, I think that's the big thing. Okay, Andy, let's wrap up. God, I hate fucking talking this shit. So it drives me crazy. Okay, Mama Jabor, we're at an NBA session right now, so skip ahead 7 minutes or just end the pod if you want to. We already got your numbers where I got you down. Um, Andy, let's talk a little NBA because it's been a fascinating
yeah,
couple days here in the National Basketball Association. We have the New York Knicks playing the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, who last night put another whooping on the Minnesota Timberwolves and go up 2 games to none. The fascinating thing about this, Andy, is you have 4 teams. The New York Knicks are kind of like the lovable losers, right?
yeah,
They can't they're like I mean, I know they'll probably hate this analogy, but they're like the pain of the Boston Red Sox before the Red Sox won the World Series in 2004. Yeah, they get close a lot, but they get a heartbreak. In game one, they had another heartbreak at the hands of Indiana. They were up big in the fourth quarter, and then Indiana came back and made some crazy shots at the end. But aside from the Knicks, you have Indiana, which is a mid-tier market. Indianapolis, I mean, I know it's a big city, but I would equate it to like it's not one of the biggest cities. It's a, Midwestern city. It's a great city, great sports franchises there, but not a big city. Certainly has not got the basketball pedigree. They've got a lot of good basketball players over the years and so on. But it's one of those things. Oklahoma City, who's the darling, they were the best regular season team.
yeah.
And they've got the MVP, Shea Alexander, who's from Canada, ironically enough, or just interestingly enough, not ironically, but interestingly enough,
Making a good basketball player.
he's the best player. But Oklahoma City is a small big city, like a really small big city.
A city I've really enjoyed. Just to say, I've really enjoyed this.
Oh, there you go. So Andy Jabor supports Oklahoma City. That's right, because you're at Fort Sill, right? So
Right,
you're
right.
there. And then finally Minneapolis, which again, not none of these other than the Knicks have the brand recognition. None of these programs have like historical NBA pedigree. But we're at an interesting time because the NBA's put in this kind of like salary cap kind of level where you get punished if you go over the salary cap with like contracts. You can't ultimately you wouldn't be able to draft, use your draft picks, all this other stuff. and we're just in this, maybe they've reached an age of parity here with like similar to the NBA or NFL, because the NBA the last 7 years has had a different champion.
Yeah.
It's healthy for this. I think it's healthy for all sports. We talked about baseball where they don't have a salary cap. The Los Angeles Dodgers went out and spent almost $1 trillion in contracts, it seems like, or over $1 billion in contracts. And and the Yankees can throw money at everybody, and the Red Sox can throw money. All these but in the NBA and the NFL, you have a little bit more parity. I think that's good for professional sports leagues. I mean, because you want to believe your team has a chance. Now, the NBA also does they have the lottery system and they do the tanking and all that. You're going to do that, but next year one of those teams could be hit it rich and they have a chance. Whereas in the NFL, I mean, sorry, baseball, it really doesn't work that way. So I don't know. I kind of like where the NBA is, even though these are not, they may not be ratings busters for TV, but I think it's a healthy thing for a league. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with all that. I would say, I mean, there have been times, I mean, the Pacers have had good runs. And you go back to when you and I were young and the Reggie Miller years. I mean,
Yeah,
they,
yeah,
they've put some really good teams together. And the Thunder had some nice runs for, Oklahoma only has the Thunder, right, as far as major league
yeah, that's true.
sports. And they don't have other pro sports. And the Thunder has surprisingly brought in some really big talent over the years and had some good runs. I'm pretty sure they won a couple of championships along the way.
They've been to the championship. They haven't won it yet, though. But yeah,
Okay, cool, thank you. So it's fun to see some of these teams that come from, the heartland of America, right? Not just the LA and New York clubs, right? But some of these other teams from around the country. Minnesota's been, consistently competitive too. And the Knicks are, I think, a fun story because they've been pretty bad recently. And so to see them come up and do well, I've had the soft spot for the Knicks ever since Patrick Ewing played for them when we were kids, right? Georgetown alumni
yeah.
and just fun to watch, a fun player. So I think these are great teams to be in the playoffs. And the rivalries, I mean, that old Knicks Pacers rivalry was a really good one. To see them there now, to see Reggie Miller in the stands, to see the pain of the choking, like it's fun to watch. And it's really what makes sports so great. So good on the NBA to have these games, different teams, different championships, over the years, like you're talking about, 7 different champions in 7 years. Like that's awesome to see because look, America gets tired of the Chiefs, right? Like we don't want to see the
Right.
Chiefs in the Super Bowl every year. People are going to go crazy if it's Chiefs, Eagles in the Super Bowl again. To see different teams getting there, winning it, I think it's really exciting. It's part of the American dream there to, see these sports teams from your local town rise up and get a chance to make the run and to get excited. Whether it's in the playoffs or you're the Mavs and you get that lottery win and now you're getting a big
It's
player,
funny.
coming in. It's fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, like the Chiefs and even the Patriots, if you remember back to the Patriots' first Super Bowl,
Yeah.
everybody was on board with New England winning that year. I mean,
Not everybody, Dave. Not
I mean,
everybody.
other than the St. Louis fans and Andy Jabor, but I mean, there were a lot of people who were pulling for that team. Now, just like the hatred for Patrick Mahomes is at an all-time high right now because they've won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years and all that other stuff. But I like what it, look, I can't watch NBA basketball end to end. I can't watch a game. I'll turn it on. I'll flip and watch a couple things here and there. But I do stay involved with it. I mean, I still know who's at the top and all this other stuff. So I think this is good for sports leagues and so on. But Andy, another league that's going to kick off, and I know we're at the end of our segment here, but the Premier Lacrosse League is going to kick off here in a couple weeks. This has been like a little interest of ours over the last couple years. I don't know. I think I'm kind of losing a little waning, but we'll see. I will see how that goes.
Yeah,
This is big lacrosse weekend because it's the NCAA championships, but then it kicks into the PLL. So we'll see.
yeah. I think college lacrosse is still the bigger draw.
Yeah.
I mean, like we both tried to get excited about it, and just like with the UFL, formerly the XFL, like there's a game on, and I tried watching it this last weekend while my wife and I were traveling, and I was like this sucks, like this is crappy football. They look crappy. The game is crappy, and PLL isn't crap. PLL is good. it's still hard to get enthusiastic about it. Like it's just
Yeah.
hard to be like, oh, PLL's on. It's like, like I know it's there. It's cool. It's fun to go to a live game. It is fun to go to a live game, as you and I have
Yeah.
discussed. But it's just hard to get really enthusiastic about it. But good luck to the college teams. It's always the same teams, but good luck to the college teams as they go on and try and win a championship.
Yeah, you got. I mean, I'll be watching. My son will be in town, so we'll be watching the Final Four on Saturday, and then on Sunday or on the Monday is the championship. To your point, I mean, Maryland's almost always in there. Syracuse is out after a couple down years is back in there. You have Cornell, the Ivy League school, and then Penn State is the kind of outsider. But Penn State over the last 5 years has really been part of the elite there, but the problem with college, it's the same a lot with college sports is it's the blue blood conferences. It's the big conferences. In
Yeah,
lacrosse, it's the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Ivy Leagues, and all four teams are from those conferences.
yeah.
The other conferences, they may have a rise here and there, but it's just not the same. So, but Memorial Day weekend is usually associated with college lacrosse because on Monday it's the one of those things going on. But anywho, that's our sports little rumble as we are basically we're just biding time until the NFL season comes out here, Andy.
Well, Dave, as we wrap up with sports and tournaments, I think we're taking Monday off as we pause and recognize Memorial Day. And you and I talked yesterday or last episode about going out on our Memorial Day ruck marches, and so I'm looking forward to that experience and opportunity, and chance to appreciate all of our blessings as Americans, and those who serve. So good luck to you this weekend with sports, with family, with graduation, and it'll be fun to check in on Monday.
And good with you as well, Andy. So um we will enjoy this weekend. We will be off, like you said, on Monday, so we'll catch up back with everybody on Wednesday. But look out, Andy and I might have some posts on socials this weekend. We might be rucking and talking or something. We'll see. But all right, everyone. With that, I will bid you, well, I'll see you next time. And Andy, happy Memorial Day.
Have it more there, sir.